Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that every single woman needs to hear. You are not too much. You are not too loud, too ambitious, too emotional, too strong, or too opinionated. You are exactly who you were meant to be. And if someone tells you otherwise, that's their problem, not yours. For far too long, women have been shrinking themselves, making themselves smaller, more acceptable, more likable. We apologize for taking up space. We hesitate before speaking up. We doubt ourselves when we already know the answer. And let me tell you why, because we have been conditioned to believe that confidence in a woman is intimidating, that ambition is aggressive, that setting boundaries is selfish. But let me be crystal clear, that is a lie. You are powerful beyond measure. And the second you start acting like it, the world around you will shift. You don't need permission to be bold, to be successful, to want more for yourself. You don't need someone else's validation to decide you are worthy. You already are. You always have been. And that brings me to the second thing every woman needs to hear: stop waiting for permission. You don't need anyone to tell you it's okay to go after your dreams, to say what you think, to take up space in a room. You don't need permission to change your life. You don't need to wait for the right time, because guess what? That perfect moment you're waiting for, it's never going to come. If you keep waiting to feel ready, you'll be waiting forever. Think about the most successful women in the world, the entrepreneurs, the leaders, the game changers. Do you think they had all the answers when they started? Absolutely not. They didn't wait. They moved even when they were scared, even when they were unsure. They took messy action, and that's what you need to do too. Because confidence isn't something you wait for, it's something you build. Now, let's talk about your voice, because it matters more than you realize. How many times have you been in a meeting, in a conversation, in a situation where you knew you had something valuable to say, but you kept quiet? How many times have you bit your tongue because you didn't want to come across as difficult or bossy? Listen to me, you are not here to make everyone comfortable. You are not here to be quiet. You are not here to sit in the back row of your own life. Your voice is powerful. Your ideas are valid. Your opinions matter. And if you've ever been told otherwise, then I need you to start unlearning that garbage right now. Because when you shrink yourself, when you silence yourself, you are robbing the world of the impact you were meant to make. Every time you speak up, you are not just doing it for yourself. You are doing it for every woman who is watching, for every girl who is growing up thinking she has to be small to be accepted. You are leading by example. Now, let's talk about boundaries, because too many women feel guilty for setting them. You are allowed to say number. You are allowed to protect your time, your energy, and your peace. You are not responsible for making everyone else comfortable at your own expense. How many of you have ever said yes to something you didn't want to do, just because you didn't want to seem rude? How many of you have let people cross your boundaries, walk all over your time, disrespect your energies because saying no felt uncomfortable? Let me tell you something: boundaries are not mean. Boundaries are not selfish. Boundaries are necessary. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. If someone gets upset because you enforce a boundary, that's not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign they benefited from you having none. Let that sink in. And final, self-doubt. The number one thing that holds women back is the belief that they are not enough. That they're not smart enough, talented enough, strong enough, that they need to know more, be more, do more before they can step up. That is a lie. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the belief that you don't deserve it. And let me tell you, UDO, the moment you stop questioning yourself, the moment you stop waiting for the right time, the moment you start acting as the powerful woman you were meant to be, everything will change. So here's my challenge for you: start today. Start speaking up. Start saying number. Start taking action before you feel ready. Start stepping into the role you were born to play. Because you are already enough. You are already powerful, and the world is waiting for you to show up. You are not too much. You have never been too much. The world may have told you otherwise. Maybe it was a teacher, a parent, a boss, or even society itself. You've been told to lower your voice, to tone it down, to not be too ambitious, too confident, too emotional, too bold. And here's the truth: they were wrong. Women have been conditioned to believe that in order to be accepted, we have to fit into a mold that makes everyone else comfortable. We're taught to be likable, to be agreeable, to be pleasant. But what happens when you try to squeeze into a space that's too small for you? You shrink yourself. You make yourself smaller so that others don't feel uncomfortable in your presence. And let me tell you something: you were never meant to be small. Think about the most powerful, successful women in the world. Do you think they were worried about being too much? Do you think Oprah, Beyonce, Serena Williams, or any other woman at the top of her game worried about whether she was intimidating someone? Absolutely not. They leaned into their power. They embraced the fact that their presence, their energy, their ambition was meant to take up space. And that is exactly what you need to start doing. But I get it. It's not always easy. You've spent years, maybe even decades, trying to make sure you're not stepping on anyone's toes, that you're not being too pushy or too confident. And now I'm telling you to unlearn all of that. I'm telling you to step into your power unapologetically. That can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like you're doing something wrong. But let me ask you this: what's the alternative? The alternative is staying in a box that was never meant for you. It's hiding your brilliance so that others don't feel insecure. It's sitting in the back row of your own life while watching other people step forward with confidence. And that's not the life you were meant to live. I want you to think back to a time when you were told you were too much. Maybe it was at work, when you spoke up in a meeting and someone said you were being too aggressive. Maybe it was in your personal life when you had big dreams and someone told you to be more realistic. Maybe it was in a relationship when your passion, your energy, your emotions were dismissed as too dramatic. Whatever it was, I want you to recognize that moment for what it was. It wasn't a sign that you needed to change. It was a sign that the people around you weren't ready for the full force of who you are. And that's okay. Not everyone is going to be able to handle your strength. Not everyone is going to calibrate your ambition. But that's not your problem to fix. You don't have to shrink yourself so that others feel more comfortable. You don't have to hold back just to fit in. You are here to take up space. You are here to be bold, to be brilliant, to be unapologetically you. And let's talk about confidence, because when you fully own your power, people will call it confidence. But here's the secret: confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. It's a muscle, and every time you choose to stand tall instead of shrinking, every time you choose to speak up instead of staying silent, every time you remind yourself that you are worthy of success, you are strengthening that muscle. So how do you start? How do you go from years of playing small to stepping into your full power? You start by making the decision that you are done dimming your light. You start by catching yourself in the moments when you're about to hold back and choosing instead to lean in. You start by changing the way you talk to yourself, because here's the thing: if you keep telling yourself that you're too much, that you need to tone it down, that you should stay in your lane, then guess what? You'll believe it. Your mind listens to what you tell it. But the second you start shifting that inner dialogue, the second you start saying, I am powerful, I am meant to take up space, I am worthy of success, everything changes. And listen, this isn't about being arrogant. This isn't about disregarding other people. This is about owning who you are without apology. This is about recognizing that your ambition, your intelligence, your voice, it all matters. And the world needs more women who refuse to shrink. So the next time you hear that little voice in your head telling you to be less, I want you to do the opposite. I want you to stand taller, to speak louder, to claim your space with confidence. Because the world doesn't need more women who are playing small. The world needs you in all of your brilliance, in all of your strength, in all of your power. No more apologies, no more shrinking. It's time to step up. It's time to own your space. And it's time to show the world exactly who you were always meant to be. Stop waiting. Stop looking around for someone to give you the green light, the approval, the go-ahead to live your life the way you want to. It's not coming. No one is going to come knock on your door and hand you permission to chase your dreams, to speak your mind, to take that leap you've been too afraid to take. And if you're waiting for the perfect moment, let me save you some time. It doesn't exist. How many times have you put something off because you weren't sure if you were ready? How many times have you hesitated before making a move, wondering if you needed someone else's validation first? Here's what I need you to understand. The only permission you need is your own. The only person who has the power to say, yes, I can do this, is you. And the longer you wait for someone else to grant you that permission, the more time you are wasting. Think about the most successful women you admire. Do you think they waited for the perfect moment? Do you think they sat around hoping someone would tap them on the shoulder and say, "Okay, now it's your turn"? No, they took action. They moved forward even when they didn't have all the answers. They stopped waiting for the world to give them permission and instead gave it to themselves. The truth is, the longer you wait, the more excuses you will find. You'll convince yourself you need more experience, more knowledge, more time, more confidence. And that little voice in your head will keep telling you all the reasons why now isn't the right time. But here's what you need to know. Your fear is lying to you. That's self-doubt. That hesitation, that feeling that you need to wait until everything is perfectly lined up. That's just fear trying to keep you small. And you have to recognize it for what it is. What if I told you that every successful woman you admire felt the exact same fears you do? They felt the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, the hesitation. But do you know what separates them from the people who never go after what they want? They didn't let fear stop them. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They didn't wait for permission. They just started. You don't need to know everything to begin. You don't need to have it all figured out before you take the first step. You just need to decide that you are worthy of going after what you want. Because the truth is, the only difference between you and the people who are out there living their dreams is that they took action. And action, no matter how small, is the key. So ask yourself, what is one thing you've been waiting to do? One thing you've been holding back on because you don't feel ready. Maybe it's launching that business. Maybe it's speaking up at work. Maybe it's setting boundaries in your relationships. Whatever it is, I want you to stop waiting and start moving. And I know what you're thinking, but what if I fail? Let me tell you something. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Every single woman who has ever accomplished something great has failed along the way. It's inevitable. The difference is they didn't let failure define them. They used it as a lesson, as fuel, as proof that they were growing. What if, instead of fearing failure, you expected it? What if you looked at it as a sign that you're pushing yourself? That you're stepping outside your comfort zone, that you are actually living? Because the alternative is staying stuck. And I don't know about you, but I would rather fail 100 times than live my life wondering what could have been. No one is going to come and hand you your dreams. No one is going to make you take that first step. It's on you. And that should feel empowering because it means that you are in control. You get to decide when your life changes. You get to decide when you step into your power. And the second you stop waiting, the second you start believing in yourself enough to take action, that is the moment everything changes. So no more waiting. No more looking for permission. No more telling yourself you're not ready. You are ready. You always have been. Now it's time to act like it. Your voice matters. Your opinions, your thoughts, your ideas, they all matter. But for far too long, you've been conditioned to believe that staying quiet is safer. You've been told that speaking up might make you seem difficult, that expressing your opinions too strongly might make you unlikable, that advocating for yourself might come off as aggressive. So, you've hesitated. You've held back. You've swallowed your words. Convinced yourself that maybe it's better not to say anything at all. But let me tell you something, silence won't save you. It won't get you the respect you deserve, the opportunities you've earned, or the life you want. If anything, staying quiet only teaches people that they can overlook you, that your contributions don't matter, that you're okay with being in the background when you were meant to be front and center. Think about the times in your life when you wanted to speak up but didn't. Maybe it was in a meeting at work when you had an idea but doubted yourself just long enough for someone else to say something similar and get credit for it. Maybe it was in a relationship where you weren't being treated the way you deserved, but you stayed quiet, hoping things would change instead of demanding better. Maybe it was when someone made a comment that disrespected you, but you laughed it off because you didn't want to cause a scene. I want you to realize something every time you silence yourself. You reinforce the belief that your voice isn't important. And that is the biggest lie you've ever been told. When you don't speak up, you don't just rob yourself of opportunities, you rob the world of your perspective, your knowledge, your wisdom, and the world needs what you have to offer. You have experiences that no one else has. You have insights that can change the way things are done. You have something to say that someone else needs to hear. The problem is we've been trained to doubt ourselves. We second guess whether what we have to say is valuable. We wonder if we're coming across the right way. We analyze how others might react, worrying that we'll be judged or criticized, and as a result, we choose silence. But here's what I need you to understand. No one is coming to hand you permission to use your voice. You have to take it. You have to own it. And yes, I know what you're thinking. But what if I say the wrong thing? What if people don't agree with me? Let me tell you something, not everyone is going to like what you have to say. And that's okay. The goal is not to be liked by everyone. The goal is to be heard, to be respected, to make an impact. If you're not speaking up because you're afraid of how others will react, you are giving away your power. You are letting other people's opinions dictate your choices. And that is a losing game. Because no matter what you do, no matter how carefully you craft your words, someone will always have an opinion. That's just life. So why waste your energy trying to please everyone when you could be using that energy to create, to lead, to own your space? Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. You have to start using your voice, even when it feels scary. Especially when it feels scary, because confidence doesn't come from waiting until you feel ready. It comes from action. The more you speak up, the stronger your voice gets. The more you express yourself, the more natural it becomes. The more you own your words, the more powerful you become. Start small if you have to. Speak up in conversations where you'd normally stay quiet. Share your thoughts even when they're not fully formed. Raise your hand in meetings. Say no when something doesn't sit right with you. Correct people when they get your name wrong. Set boundaries when someone disrespects you. Call out the things that need to be called out. And most importantly, stop apologizing for having a voice. Stop prefacing your thoughts with "I'm sorry." But stop watering down your opinions so they're more palatable to others. Stop waiting for someone to invite you to the conversation when you should be leading it. Your voice is power. The only question is, are you going to use it? You don't need to be fearless. You just need to stop letting fear make your decisions for you. Fear is not the enemy. It's not something to get rid of or avoid. Fear is simply a signal, a sign that you are stepping into new territory, that you are pushing yourself beyond what's comfortable. And that is exactly where you need to be. But here's what happens to most people, especially women. We feel fear, and we take it as a warning. We think maybe this isn't the right time. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I should wait until I feel more confident. And then we hesitate. We hold back. We let fear take the driver's seat. And before we know it, we've talked ourselves out of the very thing that could change our lives. The problem is not that you feel fear. The problem is what you do with it. Too many of us mistake fear for a stop sign when really it's just a flashing light saying, pay attention. It's normal to feel nervous before doing something big. It's normal to doubt yourself when you're stepping into new territory. But the truth is, the only way to get past fear is to go through it. Think about the people you admire, the ones who seem confident, unstoppable, fearless. Do you really think they never feel afraid? Of course they do. The difference is they don't let fear control them. They feel it, they acknowledge it, and then they move forward anyway. And that is exactly what you need to start doing. The reason fear feels so overwhelming is that we focus too much on what could go wrong. We create worst-case scenarios in our minds before we even take the first step. We convince ourselves that if we fail, it will be humiliating, that if we try and don't succeed, it means we weren't good enough. But let me ask you something. What if you focused on what could go right? What if, instead of thinking about everything that could go wrong, you imagined everything that could go right? Because here's the truth, the biggest risk isn't failure. The biggest risk is never trying at all. The biggest risk is looking back years from now and wondering, what if I had gone for it? What if I had been brave enough to bet on myself? What if I hadn't let fear make my decisions for me? Every single woman who has ever accomplished something great had to push through fear to get there. Every single one. No exceptions. Oprah, fear. Beyonce, fear. Michelle Obama, fear. Every CEO, every entrepreneur, every artist, every leader, you name them, they've battled fear. The difference is they didn't let it stop them. And neither should you. Now, I'm not saying you should ignore fear completely. Fear has a purpose. It's meant to keep us safe. But most of the time, it's just an outdated response that no longer serves you. It's the voice in your head trying to keep you small because small feels safe. But small is not where you were meant to live. The best way to handle fear: take action immediately. The longer you sit with fear, the more power it gains. The more you analyze, the more you overthink, the more excuses you will find. That's why you have to act before fear has a chance to build momentum. Let's say you want to start a business, but you're afraid you'll fail. Instead of obsessing over all the ways it could go wrong, take the first step. Register the name, start the website, tell someone about your idea, just take one small action. Because the moment you start moving, fear starts losing its grip. Or maybe you want to speak up more at work, but you're afraid of saying the wrong thing. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment, just do it. Raise your hand in the next meeting. Share an idea. The first time will feel uncomfortable. The second time, a little easier. By the 10th time, you won't even think about it. Fear thrives on hesitation. The longer you hesitate, the stronger it gets. But when you act quickly, when you take control before fear has a chance to take over, you take back your power. And let me be clear, this isn't about recklessness. It's about recognizing when fear is lying to you. When it's trying to keep you from stepping into the life you are meant to live. When it's keeping you stuck in a place you've already outgrown. So the next time you feel fear creeping in, don't let it stop you. Recognize it for what it is: a sign that you are moving towards something important. A sign that you are growing. A sign that you are stepping into your power. You have to stop waiting for confidence to show up before you take action. Confidence is not something you are born with. It's not something that magically appears one day when you've achieved enough, learned enough, or proven yourself enough. Confidence is built. It is created through action. It is the result of doing the things that scare you over and over again until one day they don't scare you anymore. Most people think confidence is what allows you to take bold steps in your life. They believe that once they feel confident, they'll finally apply for that job, start that business, set that boundary, or walk away from that toxic relationship. But that's completely backward. You don't feel confident first. You act first and confidence follows. Think about learning how to drive a car. The first time you got behind the wheel, you weren't confident. Your hands were probably sweating. You were gripping the steering wheel like your life depended on it, and every turn felt like a risk. But you kept going, you kept driving, and over time you got better. You stopped overthinking every little movement. And one day you realized you weren't nervous anymore. You just knew you could do it. That's exactly how confidence works in every area of life. So if you're sitting around waiting to feel confident before you make a move, you're going to be waiting forever. The only way to build confidence is through action. You have to take the leap before you feel ready. You have to do the thing before you believe you can do it. That's how confidence is built: through repetition, through experience, through proving to yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way. And here's the best part: confidence is not about being perfect. It's not about always knowing what you're doing or never making mistakes. Confidence is about trusting yourself. It's about knowing that even if you mess up, even if things don't go as planned, you can figure it out. You can handle it. Look at any successful woman you admire. Do you think she always felt 100% confident in herself? No way. She had doubts. She had fears, but she didn't let those doubts stop her. She showed up anyway. She took action before she felt ready. And because she kept showing up, her confidence grew. So let's talk about how you start building real, unshakable confidence in your own life. The first step: take action before you feel ready. If you keep waiting for confidence to appear, you'll stay stuck exactly where you are. Instead, start taking small steps toward what you want. Speak up even when your voice shakes. Say yes to opportunities even when you feel unqualified. Push yourself to try things that make you uncomfortable. The second step: stop overthinking everything. So many women talk themselves out of opportunities because they overanalyze every little detail. What if I'm not good enough? What if I embarrass myself? What if I fail? That kind of thinking is a confidence killer. Instead of getting stuck in your head, just do the thing. Take action. Move forward. The more you act, the less power your fears will have over you. The third step: celebrate small wins. Confidence isn't built overnight, and it's not built on huge achievements alone. It's built through small victories, through moments where you prove to yourself that you are capable. So every time you push past fear, acknowledge it. Every time you do something you once thought you couldn't do, recognize that. Those little moments add up, and over time they create the kind of confidence that can't be shaken. And finally, change the way you talk to yourself. Confidence starts in your mind. If you're constantly telling yourself that you're not good enough, that you're not ready, that you don't have what it takes, you will believe it. But if you start speaking to yourself like you would a friend, encouraging, supportive, kind, you will change the way you see yourself. Because at the end of the day, confidence is not about being the smartest person in the room. It's not about having all the answers. It's about believing that no matter what happens, you will figure it out. It's about trusting yourself enough to take action even when you're scared. So stop waiting. Stop looking for confidence to magically appear. Take action and watch what happens. Confidence isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it.